This is your boy, co-owner of House of Glory Wrestling, Brian XL. You're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid.
Big shout out to all my wrestling heads out there. No cap, those who still showing love for AWA, WCW, NWA, CWF, Mid-South, and all these cracking in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. We doing it for y'all, get it. Doing it large, big show style, fashion out here
This is your boy, co-owner of House of Glory Wrestling, Brian XL. You're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid.
Big shout out to all my wrestling heads out there. No cap, those who still showing love for AWA, WCW, NWA, CWF, Mid-South, and all these cracking in Smoky Mountain Wrestling. We doing it for y'all, get it. Doing it large, big show style, fashion out here representing, let's go.
What you know about body slams and headlocks and Stone Cold Boldy and Kofi Kingston's dreadlocks? ECW before Meanie was blue. Kurt Angle was breaking ankles, screaming out, "Oh, it's true." Harley Race folded US champ belts and stiff chops from Benoit gave you chest swamps. DDT from the top rope suplex off a ladder. The Rock reminds y'all. It doesn't matter. DDP to Goldberg Street. Eddie G went radical, then Latino, he Bruno, Pedro, and them damn Briscoes. Hogan went Hollywood, NWO, Macho Man Sky High, dropped them elbows. NXT, Matt Riddle, full set checks, bro. The Dream told stories about those hard times. Stan Hansen and Bradshaw through the clotheslines. Arena goes black and one light in the ring, light on, crowd pops, here comes Sting. John Cena gets booed, now is a movie maker. American Badass, the dead man or call taker. When the Heartbreak Kid was not your boy toy. Now who's the man? Becky Lynch, a nature boy. The Hitman, Sharpshooter, best submission. Favorite tag, LOD or Demolition. Wrist locks, hip toss, and them arm drags. Steamboat, Jake the Snake, pulls Damien out the back. Kurt Hennig, Dolph Ziggler, hits the zigzag. Super kicks, Young Bucks with the high attack. The Big Dog, Roman Reigns, and Jesse the Bod. MJF is the new hot rod. Your BC throw-ups too sweet. I'm watching MLW, Impact, and All Elite. I'm so wrestling. I did it again, y'all. Brought it back. Fashion back in the building. Tell you, don't sleep. Yo, when I come in Turnbuckle Tabloid Studios, I get it popping all day, every day. You know what I mean? That's how I do. From Turnbuckle to Turnbuckle. Mid-car flyer, you know what I'm saying? Doing it for my people. Big up to all my wrestling fans. Where ya at, yo? Throw it up. Let's go. Too sweet, y'all. Stay tuned for part 2 of this. Starcade. That's how we do it over here at Turnbuckle Tabloid on this side. Let's get it popping. Oski, my man Jay Santi. Get it popping. So wrestling.
It's good to be the champion. Shazam!
I have announced to you that I will never retire.
The cream of the crop! Nobody does it better.
Fuck it! Fucking bullshit!
This song is brought to you by
Turnbuckle Tabloid.
This is the COO of WWE, Triple H, and you're listening to Turnbuckle Tabloid. Download and stream from all podcasting outlets like iTunes, Google Play Music, Spotify, iHeart, and all podcasting outlets you can listen to. Turnbuckle Tabloid is cutting a promo. Where the hell is the camera? Oh, I was about to say, where the hell is the camera at? We're back. All right, ladies and gentlemen. What's
going on, everybody?
Hold on, make sure. Something going on with the wacky with the camera. We're going wacky.
Hacky.
Hold on, wait a second. Hold on. Make sure everything's all right over here. What the hell's going on over here? Yeah, hello. All right, we go. All right, so big shout out to my man Fashion who came in the building and spit that. I'm so wrestling over there, boy.
I have no words. What I just listened to, Because that shit was fire, boy. Wrist locks, head locks, going top of the top. What?
My man Fashion in the building.
Yo, that dude needs to watch out. The guy does the remix of the Wrestlers.
I gotta do part 2. Oh, you talking about what, Jay Wills?
Yeah, that dude need to watch out.
I'm just hoping that I'm hoping that for the part 2, he says he's gonna do a part 2 to that shit. So I want to hear that shit.
It's a part 2.
Yeah. I think he missed a lot of guys, so I think there's gonna be a part 2 to it. So guys,
Wrist lock, head lock. Now it's time for me to take the tombstone down top.
oh shit! We might get Big O in the building.
Big, I might do a collab. My new album coming out. Fuck out of here.
All right, so this was your thing, so you might have with the whole hip hop thing, which
Speaking
actually
of hip hop,
which actually coincided the way it did.
It does. So this week's Cutting a Promo is officially 90s week, man.
Is it?
It's 90s week because I have been dying.
I love the 90s.
I've been dying to have this conversation with you on mic. Mike's being hot. We talked about it on the way to the Rageworks barbecue. We've had conversations in the past, many actually. You've brought me to your 90s stomping grounds.
Yeah, my home, my upbringing, where I cut my teeth at.
Where you cut your teeth. Not your teeth, it's tooth.
My tooth.
Your tooth.
My toothuses.
Your toofuses. So one of my biggest problems with me is I am pissed that I am my age.
You're mad that your parents didn't meet earlier and just bump uglies and give birth to you?
Yeah, no. I'm upset that I was not this age in the 90s, man. I would have loved to have been there for the Monday Night Wars.
The full brouhaha that was the wars.
Even the bad things, the terrible characters. Watching Raw with the shitty gimmicks every week. The commercials, everything.
The Ico Pro commercials and stuff.
Thankfully, one of the biggest blessings on this show that I think very other shows rarely do have, we have very different stomping grounds when it comes to wrestling.
Well, history.
We have a different history.
Yeah, upbringing when it comes to it.
Different upbringing.
By the way, if you guys want to partake in this conversation, make sure you hit us on the Skype. It's 315-371-4367. That's 315-371-4367. If you remember the 90s, if you wish you were part of the 90s, if you know what went down in the 90s, you don't know. Because I was there. I lived it, boy.
Boy.
I was there. You don't know what it is. See a Macho Man leave WWF and then didn't want to leave but had to and went to WCW and became something different because it hit different. So yeah.
All right. So I'm pissed. I mean,
you're literally upset about that. I'm more of a fan of you guys because you got the big technology age.
I started watching wrestling when John Cena was Thugonomics. The Big Show had a set of hair, and Brock.
He had luscious locks.
The first pay-per-view.
No, I had him when he had luscious locks.
One of the first pay-per-views I ever watched was Brock Lesnar losing to Eddie Guerrero at No Way Out.
It's a good time.
Which I'm gonna be honest with you, that was because No Way Out's near my birthday, so in February. So I always had No Way Out birthday parties.
When did you start becoming like a fan of wrestling?
That would be in 2004, and you know what's funny?
Who brought you into wrestling?
Me.
Oh, on your own?
Do you want to know why?
Why?
Because it's a funny story. My dad. This is actually I found wrestling out of nowhere. Out of no legs. My dad was watching.
What up, Ben the Brit? Mook.
Yo, Ben, we gotta talk to you about this bullshit about not finding the podcast because we have everything for you and you haven't shared for the fucking contest.
Thank you.
So my dad was watching TV, right, on the couch, falls asleep. He knocks out. So me and AJ as kids go, we're taking the TV.
Right.
We're scrolling past the channels to find Nickelodeon.
Okay.
And on the way to Nickelodeon, we found a rerun of SmackDown. Big Show versus, it was Billy Kidman or some shit like that.
Okay.
I fell in love
so
with
you and AJ both found wrestling
at the same time.
Yeah.
Same time. We were scrolling through the channel randomly because we didn't know the God button back then.
Right.
So you scroll down. Automatically SmackDown. Rerun of SmackDown.
Oh, and everybody who's watching, say happy birthday to super producer Sally.
Happy birthday!
Yeah, boy. Super producer Sally. It's your birthday on 12. Okay.
So Big Show fought like Billy Kidman or some shit like that.
Right.
That was him during the U.S. Championship time.
You know what's funny that you said that is
My boy and we would play the WCW NWO games on 64.
Oh, I still have
Me
that.
and-
I have that cartridge on my wrestling desk.
Me and my boy Slow, we would always play that, and that was the match we always played.
Big Show versus Billy Kidman.
Yep, all the time.
That's
the
weird.
Giant versus Billy Kidman.
That's weird.
All the time.
That's
that was
weird.
That was always and for some reason he always beat me because
Were you trash?
I didn't have I didn't have a 64.
So you only played at the crib.
Yeah,
not your crib.
and he's the one that used Kidman. He beat me with Kidman all the time.
Because he was probably mad quick though.
Yeah. But whenever I was able to do the
power moves,
the power moves, the choke slam and shit like that, I was so fucking hyped because I thought the match was. 20-minute, 25-minute matches all the time. We would sit there with a couple of, all the time, sit there drinking beers and shit, and that would be the only match that we ever played.
Wow.
We didn't. And if we ever fought somewhere else, like it'll be tag teams. It'll be he and I on the same time. But if it was head to head, we always got to do the
Billy
Giant
Kidman.
versus Kidman. Yeah.
Giant versus Goliath.
Yeah.
So that's how I found wrestling, but which was pretty out of nowhere because I never knew wrestling besides me watching on the channel myself. No one put me onto it. I never knew about it until I looked it up myself. So when it comes to the 90s, what's the first memory for you? Because what was the year you started watching wrestling?
Oh, I was a kid. I was.
What year? Like
had to be right before Hulkamania, like a little bit, like 83, about 83 around that time.
Jeez Louise,
And
you
it
were
was-
there for the
But I had an in because like I said in early episodes, my uncle was a indie wrestler
yeah.
in the neighborhood, and he was always into the old NWA, AWA kind of stuff, the Larry Zbyszko's, the Nick Bockwinkel and stuff like that.
Right.
So he would always get like tapes, VHS tapes, and this was like. When you hear like VCRs and all that shit, it's everybody's like, "What the fuck is that?" The cassettes.
The cassette tapes.
And VCRs would have like a top loader. It wasn't like you slid it in; you would actually put it in and then push it down to watch. So that's how we watch stuff.
Oh, because I had the old VCR.
Yeah, where you slide it in.
in
We used to have the top loaders, and as much as WWF was like a big thing in the East Coast, if you didn't really have cable, you couldn't watch it.
It was exclusive,
Right,
sort of.
until they started putting it on mainstream TV. It was really after Hulkamania
Is
happened.
that because he bought? Because WWE started buying the territories at that time.
He
started seeing less and less
Yeah,
of
it was.
everything
It was when after he was buying like Georgia Championship Wrestling and all that, but he already knew what it was. But he needed to get mainstream network time.
Right.
So he already had time on USA Network.
Right.
But Vince really wanted to get that that mainstream Fox syndicated look. So that's when Wrestling Challenge and WWF Superstars were coming out. That's when you started watching all that. But I was always a guy that liked WWF. But when I found NWA, WCW, AWA shows, I loved watching it. The big thing was that on cable, ESPN used to run wrestling.
Wow, did they really?
Yeah, they used to have AWA and this.
That's
I
interesting.
forgot the other name of promotion. They used to run on ESPN.
ESPN started to show wrestling more love
Yeah.
now with Becky Lynch's commercials
Right,
and shit
but
like
years
that.
ago they used to be like on Saturdays or like Thursdays, whatever they would have from the Showboat. Phone call.
It's me from Bedford, England.
Turnbuckle Tabloid. Who this?
Fuck you, sir! What Jay and Oscar is cooking!
What's going on, Marco?
Yo, my son Marco just took a picture with Gordon Ramsay, son.
That's a big look right
I
there.
was jealous as fuck.
That's big right there, bro. That's big.
Marco.
Gordon Ramsay.
Viva la raza, baby.
It's raw.
Viva la raza, man!
You know what's funny, Red? Remember last episode he promised to fucking send me the video?
And he never did.
just did right now.
Oh, he
he just
did.
did.
Yeah, he knew.
He remembered.
He knew.
He knew before he
He
called. Marco, I missed you, man. We gotta talk about 90s wrestling. Do you have any...
Marco, how old are you?
I'm 43, man.
Yeah, he's my age. So
you were around for... Did you watch wrestling in the 90s?
The first, what? I didn't hear that.
Did you watch wrestling in the 90s?
Yeah, hell yeah.
Do you have any...
Hell yeah.
You gotta
That was when The
tell
Undertaker
me
was
about it.
real into that Survivor Series, man.
You gotta tell me about your memories with the 90s wrestling. How was it? How did you attain wrestling back then? over in Tijuana. How the
Were you always in Mexico?
Yes, Tijuana, Mexico. It was like on channel HCTV channel 6.
Do you have family
And here in Tijuana.
You have family in the States?
I'm sorry?
Did you come and visit family in the States? You have family in the States?
Well, yes. Well, I have family in the United States, yeah.
Oh, okay.
But I got it because here it was syndicated. Wrestling was syndicated back when then.
Yeah, because your English is
really
really
the Warrior and Hulk Hogan was like, wow.
80s was Hogan. The transition in the 90s
like
was
1990.
90s was weird. Okay,
The first year of the 90s, 1990.
Well,
what will you both remember?
In 1990 was WrestleMania 6. That was because I remember I was in 8th grade, and we were big. My 8th grade class was big wrestling fans.
Didn't you say they were all Hulkamaniacs or something?
No. We had one guy. I remember his name, Michael Turner. Michael Turner was a big Hulkamaniac. It was humongous. I used to always goof and said that he had the Hulk Hogan steroid kit. It came with, it was like a toy. It would come with weights. It came with steroids and shit like that. And we used to always goof on him for that.
Yeah.
But the big match was Hogan versus Warrior.
Right.
I wasn't a big Warrior guy. I wasn't a big fan of him. I actually really didn't like that main event. I actually liked the matches on the undercard.
Well, wasn't the same match, same show as Ricky Steamboat versus
No, Steamboat versus, what are you talking about? Steamboat versus
Macho Man. It was like
that's WrestleMania 3.
Something,
that's WrestleMania 3.
Okay.
But that match was the passing of the torch, and I was that guy that I was like, I'm over me. I'm over Hulk. Yeah, he can go on. Like, he can go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
In hindsight, when you look at it then, it was the match of the time. It was a great match for the time because it was like, holy shit. When you watch it now, it's shit. It's horrible.
So bad.
Marco, did you watch that match?
I saw that. Well, we used to have tapes, videotape, VHH tapes here in Mexico. So we distributed was Coliseum.
Right.
I think it was the Coliseum video.
Right.
And we got the tapes. I used to, go to rent the tapes and saw the wrestling matches and all that, Royal Rumbles. And Warrior was passing of the torch with Hogan, right? But then came 1991 with Survivor Series with Undertaker, and the whole thing changed. Changed a lot. The Russians were going like Shawn Michaels was going, very hard. And they were going like, okay, we're going to go technical, but Vince was still fictionalizing with big guys and big muscles, big guys like Earthquake, Talkboat, all those guys, right? Well, it wasn't Typhoon. Then he was Typhoon, right? But yeah, I used to saw him. We didn't get WCW here. It was only WWF here in Mexico, man. So, Tom Branch used to wrestle here in Mexico too. So,
well, we used to get over here. We used to get a UHF channel. It used to be on UHF channel 68. It was one of those channels that you had to fucking connect the aluminum foil with the hanger to get a good reception.
Oh yeah,
it was really bad. I remember having this conversation with Homicide, and he too remembers it. And we used to get the NWA, the AWA, WCW.
Yeah.
We used to get those. Sometimes you would get a Mid-South. You would get those kind of matches and stuff like that. And it was just a prelude of a lot of guys that you just thought that they were going to stay in that promotion because that's all they did. And whenever you saw them pop up in WWF, it was like, holy shit. Really? That happens? And you didn't know that would happen, and they could move territories.
Mm-hmm.
And like you were mentioning, after the transition with Warrior, it became a weird kind of change in the early 90s. It was weird.
That's what I wanted to ask you both, you guys, actually. What was the big difference between 89 and 90? Or the early 90s, 90, 91, 92?
Nothing major. It was nothing really big.
What's this change you're starting to see?
It happened more later in 91, 92 because that's when WCW, Ted Turner started making the moves to start making it more mainstream because in my neighborhood, we didn't have cable.
Yeah.
Everywhere else, anywhere else in the city, you had cable. Mm-hmm. I remember I lived in a project, so we didn't really get fucking cable like that.
The PJs.
Yeah. But anybody who had cable, you had TBS, the Superstation. So I would only be now. After a while, I was only able to watch WCW stuff on videotape, or I had to go to somebody's house who had like satellite kind of shit.
You had to make it work.
Yeah,
It wasn't easy,
and it was rare because anybody who had satellite, I would say, "Can you put it on this channel? Because I want to see something." Like, for what? And it would be confused, like, "Why the fuck are you watching this?" I was already by 91. I was 15, 16 years old about that time. But yeah, that's what it was. Marco, how did you get to watch the later portions of like the WCW and stuff like that?
Well, videotapes too, and we got satellite here. Like, you remember those satellites when you used to get porno?
Oh, WHC, yeah, the wiggly lines.
Yeah.
I was mad because as soon as they show boobs, that's when their lines get real wiggly.
Oh, damn.
Yeah.
They're playing games, boy?
Yeah. Bastards.
Yeah, we didn't have cable here, only on the south side of Mexico, way down south. They used to have cable, but they didn't get those channels because the distributors here in Mexico didn't have that reach with those channels. So
Wait, Marco, so you watch weekly television on tapes every week?
you know what, man? I started losing love to see pay-per-views and all that. I only see Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and SummerSlam. That's it.
Oh, so you
Yeah,
saw
you see the highlights, and that's it. Only NXT TakeOver, I really watch it and AEW right now. I'm starting like, okay, we're gonna see what it's gonna have. But I don't see like TV Weekly. I use YouTube and Netflix. That's it, man.
Marco,
Because the programming is like, oh my god. Now anyone is an actor, so. Here in Mexico, I'm talking about here in Mexico. I see programming from the United States.
Marco, before we let you go, I'm gonna do a 30-minute. I'm gonna do a 30-minute smoke about this, and probably tomorrow I'll probably do it. And hopefully you'll chime in, Carter. What was your biggest moment in the '90s? What was your highlight of the '90s? That does just say
man,
the poppiest moment.
Man. Taker was like, wow, this guy is amazing. Impervious to pain. Nobody can beat him. The Yokozuna versus Undertaker was when he got into the casket, and then with Chuck Norris was there with him on ringside protecting because the other guys trying to beat him up. And Taker was in the '90s. Taker for me was the next step of wrestling, man, because he still owns that gimmick, man. He was the Undertaker. Mark Calloway was the Undertaker.
Yeah, man.
So that's for me. The day he retires, that's the day I'm gonna even see less wrestling because he is the Michael Jordan of. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this, but he's like the Michael Jordan of wrestling for me.
You might not because honestly, there are a lot of people who could co-sign with you and say that. Look. That was probably the biggest time in the '90s for that demographic. That's when they gravitated. When they had that match, that Undertaker versus Hulk Hogan match. That's when the tide started shifting a little bit because, you had a guy that defeated Hulkamania. Besides that was Ultimate Warrior, and he looked like a threatening presence in the ring, and he looked like a guy who could work. And I'll do a 30-minute smoke about it when I remember later on. But you actually nailed it on the head. In the early '90s to the mid '90s, probably the whole '90s run, Undertaker was a big fucking presence.
He
man.
was the John Cena of WWE?
Possibly.
Like being the poster guy. Everyone, you thought WWE in the '90s. What did WF?
Because
what did you
he
think?
always found a way to change himself. And Marco, I gotta let you go because I know other people can get involved. But thanks for calling in, and as always, thanks for the support, fam.
Hey man, take care of yourself, guys. Have a great weekend and move. Take care, guys.
Take
Later,
care,
Marco.
Mook. Marco the Mook.
Marco the Mook. No, when he nailed it on the head. In that transition, that was probably the biggest transition. When you talked about what was the biggest transition, was the introduction of the Undertaker
At Survivor Series.
Right. And then they had I forgot
Well,
the
they had
names.
the gobbledygooker the same night, so.
Right, because he was supposed to the Undertaker was supposed to be the one that came out the egg, and somebody said, "Don't do that, don't do that."
I'm off this.
Yeah, and then they had a pay-per-view that Tuesday
What the fuck?
to put him over with Hogan, and it was kind of the transition of what wrestling was, but
It went to more realism.
no, it was more of a thing where the gimmicky was starting to get a little bit more hackier, I would say.
Well, Duke the Dumpster, it's hard to become.
Yeah,
more
the
of
new
that.
generation guys kind of thing. You still had the Razor Ramones. You had the.
What year was that? 92.
It was about the same time where all that was starting to
So
kick
90s
over.
was 19.
Because that's when WWF started bringing in a lot of the Mid-South guys, the NWA guys, the
all
AWA.
the bought talent they got from the fucking.
Yeah,
Violent
there was little by
Territories.
little that they were out of those territories.
Okay, that's cool.
The Berserker and shit like that. It was weird,
Mantar.
but you didn't really like you. By that age, I was 15, 16 years old.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right.
Were you over that shit? The gimmicks and
Just the gimmicks. Yeah, by that age, I was already like, the gimmicks was done. But then, this is what happened. WCW, I got cable now.
Oh, you
So
got
now-
a mad high. Was that one of the best
cable,
days ever?
Cable was probably the biggest fucking invention for wrestling ever. Besides the dawn of the day when Gorgeous George first came out on the Dumont Network and shit like that back in the 50s.
Damn.
The reinvention of wrestling happened during cable
I can imagine.
because it was a big fucking explosion.
That's what the
happened.
viewers got.
Yeah,
It was
it
the
wa-
big bang of wrestling.
It was. Turnbuckle Tabloid, who's this?
Hello, it's Ben the Brit.
Finally, Ben calls in.
Finally, Ben Cole.
Oh, I've been dying to play my British
I'm at
music.
I'm at work, so I
Whatever.
can't ring full time. But I'm at work. I'm seriously at work.
I begin to feel as though that we don't get any love from you anymore.
I can't help working, man. So you need to pay the bills.
But I know this was the one that you figured like, yes, I'm gonna call in for this.
You got to talk about the 90s with us, man.
Say again.
We got to talk about the '90s. You said now you was mentioning in the comments that ECW was your introduction to the '90s wrestling.
Yeah. See, I was born in December '88, so I was technically like 2 when the '90s started.
Uh-huh.
The first wrestling franchise I proper started watching was ECW because I met my stepbrother and he had a picture of
God damn,
Sabu
this fire engine in
on
the
the wall.
background. Fuck you. All right, no, I'm sorry about that. Go ahead. That's that New York shit. If it was Britain, you'd be here.
The belt.
So, yeah, go ahead, sir.
Yeah, so I saw Sabu on his wall. I was like, fucking hell, that guy looks pretty cool. He was like, yeah, it's this thing called ECW. So, started watching ECW, and then as time grew on, that's when I started being like, oh, there's other wrestling promotions. So then I started watching WCW. So I didn't even watch WWF very much in the 90s, but then I started watching WWF, and the
So
first
you guys-
guy I
you guys
remember
were quick-
watching
you guys
in a
were-
match,
Wait, hold on. You guys were quick to get ECW out there?
it was on videotape.
Oh,
He
okay.
used to videotape it, and we'd watch it,
Okay.
watch all the pay-per-views and stuff like that.
Basically, the way of wrestling in the 90s was tapes.
Yeah,
I mean,
it was always tape trading. It was definitely tape trading.
Tape trading.
Yeah,
I told you. I would
Video
watch
tapes.
pay-per-views.
It's
I would
up.
watch pay-per-views the day after at my video store because he always recorded it and then he would play it
At the store.
at the store and I would watch it through the glass because he was trying to entice people to rent it from him illegally. To rent
Yeah.
the videos. So I would watch it through the glass. Then after a couple of pay-per-views, he would tell me to come in, and I was like, "No, I'm good," because I thought he was like some pedophile wanting to touch my dick or some shit. But no, but he was cool. But he knew me from the neighborhood, so he was cool. So I
You
would.
thought you want to touch your dick?
No, he didn't want to touch my dick. I was kind of offended because
Why
Yeah,
not?
I'll be a fan.
I had a pretty dick, so I thought he
Because
would
why
wanna see-
not?
Why not? Oh, shit, I was kind of
So,
attractive.
like,
But no,
the kind of the first guys I kind of saw from I mean, if you talk about WWF, is
I thought you were talking about
people
touching
like
dicks. I was about to say this.
the
is another
Repo Man.
conversation.
as like the kind of people I first fucking saw on
When
WWF.
did you find out that the Repo Man was actually the one half of Demolition?
I wouldn't have found that out for a long time. To be honest.
Exactly right.
Yeah. So I was like Repo Man, Big Boss Man, those kind of guys with WWF. But I was watching. This was my Thursday night as a kid. I would watch Baywatch from 6 till 7.
No judge,
which was amazing.
no judgment here. There was titties there. Okay, I got you.
There was lots of titties there, and then I'd watch Nitro and Thunder for 3 hours after. That was my Thursday night. But it wasn't when WCW was good. It was when like Medusa was in it and Evan Courageous, and they were doing those cartoon bubbles with
late '90s, early 2000s shit. Ugh, I pity you.
Yeah.
You got the Norman Smiley shit.
Hey,
don't
ever disrespect Norman Smiley. That's my guy.
Come on.
Yeah,
man.
I like Norman Smiley. He was alright. He's the Cat Mill, those kind of guys.
I fucks with Norman. Norman looked like he was 50. He was only like 20 years old, man. Leave my man Norman alone.
It was probably about 50 inches long as well.
Ben, when it comes to 90s wrestling, if I go up to you and be like 90s wrestling, what is the first name that pops up in your head?
Taz, Sabu, Terry Funk, Tommy Dreamer.
You were ECW
and then,
mainstream.
Oh yeah, I was ECW, but then when I started watching WCW, the first guy I really gravitated to was Vampiro.
Wow, Vampiro.
Damn, out of all guys, okay.
Just because I thought he looked cool, and at the time he was in a stable with the Misfits and ICP, and they were called, I think they were called the Deadpool or something. No, not the Deadpool.
Right?
Yeah, no, they were called Deadpool. So I love those guys because they were dark, they were different. But yeah, so WWF wasn't really much of my thing in the 90s, and then obviously I've gone back and I've watched it. But you're on about like your favourite pay-per-view of the 90s.
Ben,
ECW barely.
Ben, do we have mummy issues? Ben, you sound like you have. It sounds like you have mummy issues.
I'm British. We all have mummy issues and daddy issues. We just have issues.
You seem to gravitate to the darkness. Do you have mummy issues?
No, I just like guys that were a bit like different kind of thing. So, like I say, ECW Barely Legal, 1997, their first televised pay-per-view, was my favourite. My favourite pay-per-view of all time, really.
It has to be. That was the that was the forefront of what it was, the counterculture of what wrestling was. Now, mind you, to this day, it has become the thing to where everybody's deathmatch bullshit.
Yep.
But at that time, even that pay-per-view wasn't hardcore straight through. It was not your cookie cutter wrestling.
Go on, sorry, carry on.
No, I was just saying that it wasn't your cookie cutter wrestling that we were accustomed to, and it wasn't just about seeing blood or seeing moves that other promotions were afraid to do. It was more about the fact that the fans were more appreciative of guys out there doing what they did, and it wasn't about character gimmick too much, because even in ECW they had characters, they had gimmicks.
Yeah.
The Dudleys were the biggest over shit there. With there was a fucking Dudley, there was a black Dudley. I mean, let's be real. I mean, come on. But it was more about just the presentation. What Paul did over there with the Luchadors, with the Cruiserweights, with
that was new.
The collaborations of different wrestling styles. Mm-hmm. You could get a luchador versus a brawler. You could get a hardcore guy versus a technical guy. He brought
ECW gave you every single taste of what wrestling
he brought you
can.
innovations. Am I
all
correct?
Styles.
Am I right, Ben?
Yeah. I mean, that 100%. The first match on was the Dudleys versus the Eliminators, which was Cronus and Perry Saturn.
Right.
That was pure rest. There was 450s. There was shooting star presses, but there was wrestling moves as well.
Right.
There was a 8-man tag match, which was 8 Japanese guys against each other. So that was that. The main event was a bit more ECW. We had Sandman versus Stevie Richards versus who was it? Terry Funk. Terry Funk won, and then he faced Raven and beat Raven. So that's more of a ECW match. But like I said, it was a vast array of everything, and that's why it was good. And
no, I was waiting for you to continue. Plus, when the music plays in the background, it's fucking awesome.
all the time, always will be.
Oh, he was talking.
Okay.
Like you said, it had everything.
Ben,
I'm good. Carry on.
before I let you go, your most impactful gimmick in the '90s, besides a Vampiro.
You mean the one that I remember most?
Yes.
See, I mean, if you go, mine was probably when I went back and started watching WWF. Would have been the first guy I kind of remember as a kid watching WWF was Ultimate Warrior, and I remember I was a kid and I couldn't say his name. I kept calling him Uti Warrior because I couldn't fucking say his name. And even to this day, my mum was like, on about Uti Warrior and all this bollocks. So I remember him massively. But the guy, like my '90s guy, like I absolutely, I loved Vampiro. I loved the ICP. Anyone who was a bit kind of dark and a bit fucking weird, and I loved Brock. I mean, I think he came after 2000, didn't he? But yeah, my guys, ECW guys, people like Taz, RVD, those kind of guys, any guys that were just really fucking good were ECW guys. For me, anyway. I hated Goldberg, and I hated Sting as well. So.
All right, Brett. Thanks for calling in, brother. And as always, find a way to download and share the episodes, man. I know you're at work, but you can still do much for us here. Please.
With the UK audience.
Get us the UK audience.
I can't share anything whilst I'm at work.
Well, not now, but I'm talking about after.
Because I'm not supposed to.
Listen, hey, check out my mates here at Turnbuckle Tabloid. These mates are actually pretty good if you enjoyed wrestling.
Yeah. I'm old school as fuck, so you know that.
Yeah, grow up. Grow the fuck up.
I can't grow up because I'm old school, which means I'm old at heart.
I can't wait.
Did you see Ben Spencer's?
I can't wait till he has children.
Yeah, right.
Coming soon. Let's not hope that will.
All right, so thanks for calling in again, man, and hope to hear from you soon because I'm gonna do a 30-minute smoke about this as well. So that'll be the pop-up show. Hopefully, you're free to join in for that again.
Say that again because you broke off halfway through.
I said I'll be doing a 30-minute smoke about this soon, so you could phone in and be a part of that.
Yeah.
Thanks again.
I'm free. If I'm free, I'll be game for that.
All right, so thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon.
Mook.
Cheerio. Mook. It's funny to play that music in the background.
Absolutely, man. So,
all right. Yeah, before we got probably another 5 minutes before I wrap it up. So, anything else?
How about you? What was your favorite gimmick in the '90s?
I really have to coincide to say the Undertaker is a big one, but
for me, it's got to be the Heartbreak Kid.
No, the biggest thing for me was fucking NWO. I gotta tell you, reason why is
I think that was the '90s in wrestling, man. If you were the '90s, that. But
I was a mark that I believed that shit.
Really?
I did.
Wow, red believing shit.
I believed that shit.
You had an NWO shirt?
No. We were poor, so we couldn't afford that.
It was that expensive?
No. I'm kidding. Is it? But it's for New York.
It's probably hard to find.
You couldn't get it because they didn't come up here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you didn't come.
And there was no online, so
no. Not even in my neighborhood. Everything in my neighborhood was like those hokey bullshit fucking WWF shirts that had the wrestlers
the real
posing.
Bodies and face on it.
Yeah, I wasn't wearing that shit. I even at that time I was like, I'm a wrestling fan, but I'm not a fucking fan like that. Get the hell out of here.
NWO though was.
I never had wrestling posters. I didn't have none of that shit. I didn't do all that.
Did you ever have like?
But the NWO they were cool, but I ate it because
it would look so real back then.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you saw Razor Ramon, and like I said, I read dirt sheets, and I read the dirt books and all that stuff, but they didn't really talk about that. They discussed the curtain call, but nobody understood what that meant.
And I don't think was terminology out there like it is today.
It was, but not really. I kind of
did you know behind the scenes like we do?
Well, I did because like I told you, I grew up with a couple of guys who were in the wrestling game, so I knew some of like being green, who's a face and heel man, bullshit like that. Doing a brawl way, a hard way, and I knew certain things like that. But when it came to shoot, kayfabe, whatever, That was, to be
Straight
honest,
pseudo
that
kayfabe.
came later on. That was a lot of that terminology came on a little bit later on.
Right. Is there one thing in the '90s that you wish could come back in wrestling today?
Yeah, it's the
No social media. That's my vote.
no, mine is the mirage that things could actually be real.
Well, that's what social media killed.
But you could still.
Matt Hardy even said it. Social media gave people a voice, and social media also made nobody have a voice.
But you could still give that facade that things are still alive. You could even.
There's some attempts nowadays.
You could even bring in contract disputes because that's real.
AEW's doing that.
Yeah.
You saw Cody Rhodes and Stone Spears. They had a contract agreement in the AEW headquarters.
Yeah, do contract disputes. Say, listen, like Luke Harper. Luke Harper is like, I'm only here on borrowed time because my contract is up in 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So what I'm doing is I'm gonna kick ass until
To get my name up, so when I leave, I'm good.
right. Tie that in. Or
Make it like SportsCenter and be like, oh, this guy agreed to a 5-year contract.
well, did you see what they did with NXT? NXT, they're doing injury reports.
Yeah.
That's fucking cool.
That is cool. Yeah.
Bring that in.
Yeah.
Or
they're not hiding the injuries. They're fucking showing it out there like it's a
or
fucking...
if something happens outside the ring, where let's say the Usos, we haven't seen the Usos in a minute. What the fuck is that about? Which, by the way, put that in. I don't know if we're gonna put that in Wrestling Rundown or in what we watching wrestling, but a lot of shit that we've been fucking talking about for months, is starting to be implemented.
Yeah.
In the modern day wrestling now.
Walter Ricardo got a good view of shit.
And I'm telling you, honestly, we haven't seen the Usos for much, in which we've been saying it for a while. It's like, yo, let me miss you.
We're trying to people have breaks.
But that used to happen back in the 90s. Sometimes you didn't see a wrestler for some time, and he'd be like,
Vince taking his 2-month
yo,
break.
you didn't see Stink for a year and a half.
Damn, because he reinvented himself, didn't he?
You didn't see him for a long time. Only thing you saw was like, he went, disappeared. Then you'll see somebody in the rafters. He didn't come down until probably a year.
Wow, okay.
A year investing in a gimmick. That's what's being lost. Investing in that. And then when Sting popped up, the pops that happened. Sting was another one. I said NWO was a big thing, big gimmick back in it. That I ate hook, line, and sinker because that was awesome. They were renegade. They were the counterculture of what wrestling was. They would go in the middle of the ring when a match.
They were the anarchists.
It was a match that didn't even matter. It was like two luchadors fighting each other, and it beat the shit out of them. It didn't even matter.
You know what the best part of the NWO was? They weren't going to war with WWF like everyone thought they would do. They were going to war with WCW.
With themselves. And then when Sting showed up, he was the savior of it.
Yeah.
That's storytelling.
DDP turning on them after trying to join them with the diamond cutter.
And you mentioned earlier, you didn't realize how much DDP was a big impact in WCW.
He was huge.
Never turned. He was the big face, or whatever the case may be. It was awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, this is something. You know what? We might actually have to do a 30-minute Broadway on this. 30-minute Smart on this, or a part 2 to this.
Yeah, because there's a lot.
There's a lot. We could. This would probably be the first Cunningham promo that we could do a part 2 to. So, guys, don't go anywhere. Stick around. We got much to go through. We also have Tiffany Ann, the heartbreak chick. She discusses her time at Chicago with All Out, as well as her indie run, and why I haven't broken the husband's list. Yeah. I should be there.
You asked that?
Of course I did. Why not?
And what'd she say? You'll find out.
You'll find out. So don't go anywhere. Stick around, guys. We will return. Don't go anywhere. Don't fucking go anywhere. All right, everyone. Everybody's been watching on social media. We got to go. Thank you for being a part of the episode. You need to start sharing it. Share. We're the up-and-coming show. Yes, we are. We do the things that we do.
That's because we are.
Laters, guys. We out of here.
Yo, turnbuckles, top dives. Time for me to arm drag.
Boop.
Boop, put the boop, boop, put the boop, boop. Come on, put the boop, boop, put the boop, boop.
Boop, boop.